Have you ever been in that spot where you really need to buy something fairly significant, like right now, but the bank account's looking a little thin?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That feeling of needing something urgently, but the funds aren't quite there yet.
Exactly. Like maybe you're a student, everything suddenly goes online. You need a smartphone now for classes, but the money your parents sent is still a few days away. What do you even do?
It's a common scramble, that gap between the need and the cash. And well, that scenario leads us straight into the really fascinating and often kind of misunderstood world of credit cards. They seem like the perfect solution, right? That instant bridge.
You do. That idea of getting what you need immediately and then sorting out the payment later, it's very appealing. But yeah, for so many people, credit cards have this heavy baggage. They get called a debt trap, right? Like a fast track to financial problems. It's a really strong feeling out there.
And look, that feeling, that perception, it isn't totally baseless. There's truth there. But it's also true that credit cards, if you understand them, if you use them the right way, they can be one of the most powerful, advantageous financial tools you have access to.
Okay.
So today, using these really insightful sources you've shared, we're going to do a proper deep dive. Our mission really is to unpack what credit cards actually are.
Right.
Bust some of those myths, shine a light on the incredible upsides when you use them wisely, and this is key, show you exactly how you can use them to save potentially significant money and just spend smarter, not harder.
Okay, let's get into that. We all swipe these things, but what's really going on under the hood? What are the mechanics that people maybe miss that turn this convenience into, well, a potential problem? What is a credit card really, and what does that mini loan idea actually mean for us?
That's the perfect starting point, moving past just the swipe. So at its very core, a credit card is basically a revolving line of credit. A bank gives you access to funds up to a certain limit. It lets you buy things now with the understanding, the promise that you'll pay the bank back later. Think of it less like your own money and more like a temporary bridge, like that student needing the smartphone.
Yeah.
They don't have the cash right then, but the card lets them get it. The bank effectively pays the shop for them on their behalf.
Right, so that's totally different from a debit card. With debit, it's my money coming straight out of my account.
Exactly.
But with credit, the bank pays, and suddenly I owe the bank. Which I guess brings us straight to that mini loan idea.
Precisely. That's the absolute key to understanding credit cards. You get this initial period where you don't pay interest, typically somewhere between 30, maybe 45 days. It covers your billing cycle, plus a bit of a grace period.
Okay.
But, and this is the big but, if you don't pay back the full amount you owe by the end of that window, then the whole thing starts acting exactly like a loan. And here's the kicker, the part everyone needs to really hear. The interest rates are incredibly high, like shockingly high. We're talking rates that can easily hit 30%, sometimes even creeping up towards 40%, compounded annually.
Wow, 30–40% compounded. That's huge. That's way more than a typical loan now.
Oh, way more. Often double or even triple what you might get on a standard personal loan. So yeah, it's not just a little fee. If you don't manage it carefully, it's a massive cost.
Okay, 40%.
Yeah.
That's definitely not many if things go wrong. A real consequence. So, okay, when I sweat that plastic, what's actually happening? What's the machinery behind that instant purchase?
It's this huge, complex, global network, really, built for speed and security. You've got the physical card, obviously, your name, that unique 16-digit number, expiry date, magnetic stripe, and that super important 3 or 4-digit CVV number on the back.
Yeah, the one you should never share.
Absolutely keep that secret. That's key for preventing fraud. But behind that, there's this vast infrastructure. Companies like Visa and MasterCard, they're the giants here.
Right.
But it's important to know, they don't actually issue the cards. That's the banks, your HDFC, your Chase, your Barclays. Visa and MasterCard provide the, let's call it the back-end infrastructure. They're the payment processors. They handle the secure messaging back and forth between you, the shop, and your bank.
So they're like the railway tracks, maybe. Not the trains themselves, but the system everything runs on.
That's a great analogy, yeah. They're the essential conduits. And while Visa and MasterCard are dominant globally, you've got others too, like American Express, Diners Club.
Okay.
And in some places, like India, you have domestic networks too, like RuPay. It's interesting, sometimes regulations affect these networks. Like the Reserve Bank of India, for a while, stopped banks from issuing new MasterCards because of some compliance things. Existing cards still worked, but, it shows it's a dynamic system.
Huh. Interesting. Okay, let's talk limits then. Every card has a credit limit.
Hmm.
How does the bank decide that, and how does it connect to that thing everyone talks about, that credit score?
Right, the credit limit. That's basically the maximum amount the bank will let you spend on that specific card before you absolutely have to pay some of it back.
Okay.
And it's not the same for everyone. It really varies. Depends on the bank, the type of card, and crucially, things about you like your income and, yes, your credit score. Generally, if a bank sees you've got a good, stable income, they trust you more.
Ah, so they give you a higher limit.
Usually, yes. A higher salary signals you're less likely to default, so they're willing to extend more credit. And then there's the credit score itself. It's a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
Think of it like a grade. The banking world developed this system to figure out how risky it is to lend you money. It usually runs from about 300 up to 900.
Okay, 300 and 900.
Yeah. If you've got an excellent score, maybe 750 to 900, banks see you as low risk. They trust you. But if your score is down in the 300s or 400s, the signal's basically we can't trust you at all with our money. Very high risk.
So it's like a financial report card based on how I've behaved in the past.
Oh.
How do they even calculate that?
It's almost entirely based on your past financial track record. Simple as that. Have you paid your credit card bills on time? Your loan installments? Other credit stuff.
Right.
Key things are your payment history. Are you timely?
Mhm.
How much of your available credit are you actually using? That's credit utilization. How long have you had credit? What different types of credit do you have? Have you applied for a lot of new credit recently?
Right.
All that history directly shapes not just the credit limit you might get, but whether a bank will even give you a card or a loan in the first place. For listeners in India, you'll often hear this called your CIBIL score. Same idea. It's a direct reflection of your financial discipline. Or maybe lack thereof.
Which brings us right back to that big worry, doesn't it? The whole perception that credit cards are just a debt trap. You said earlier, that's not totally wrong. So let's tackle it. Why do they have such a bad reputation? What are the actual mistakes people make that lead them down that path?
Yeah, that common idea, credit cards are evil, debt trap, leading to overspending, financial ruin. It's definitely out there. And honestly, for good reason sometimes. If you misuse them, absolutely they can be a trap.
Okay.
The way they're designed almost encourages you to spend more than you might otherwise, right? That instant gratification is powerful.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the instant funds to back it up later, that's where the real danger starts.
So it's not the card itself, but how we use it, or maybe how we don't understand it. What are the big critical mistakes that turn this useful tool into a debt problem, making banks a lot of money in the process?
There are really three main pitfalls that cause most of the trouble. Number one, and this is a big one, using your credit card to withdraw cash from an ATM.
Okay. Why is that so bad?
Because unlike buying something in a shop where you get that grace period, that interest-free time, taking cash out starts racking up interest immediately from the second you take the money out.
Wow. Instantly.
Instantly. And the interest rate for these cash advances, it's usually even higher than the rate for purchases. We're talking that brutal 35% to 40% range, kicking in from day one. No grace period at all.
Okay. Instant interest at killer rates. Yeah, that sounds like a fast way to get into trouble.
It really is. Then mistake number two, and this one's a really common trap that catches so many people, paying only the minimum amount due on your statement each month.
Right. The banks always offer that option, don't they?
They do, because it's incredibly profitable for them. See, if you only pay that minimum amount, the rest of the money you owe doesn't just start accruing interest from the payment due date. No. It starts accruing that super high 35–40% interest from the original day you actually bought the item.
Wait, backdated. To the day I made the purchase.
Exactly. Backdated. It's a crucial detail. That's how banks make a huge chunk of their income from credit cards catching people in that minimum payment cycle. It completely wipes out any benefit of the interest-free period.
So if I buy something on day one of my cycle and only pay the minimum, I'm paying that crazy high interest on it for like the whole 45 days.
Right.
Not just after the due date.
Yeah.
That's massive.
It's a massive difference in cost, absolutely. And the third mistake, which hits your long-term financial health, is constantly maxing out your credit limit.
Meaning using almost all the credit they gave me.
Yeah, consistently using, say, 90% or 100% of your available credit. This hammers your credit utilization ratio, which is a big part of your credit score.
Right.
It basically signals to banks and credit bureaus, hey, this person might be relying too much on credit, maybe they're struggling, and that makes it way harder down the line to get approved for other important loans, like for a house or a car. Or you'll get approved, but at much worse interest rates.
It really sounds like a horrible cycle once you slip into it.
Yeah.
How fast can that happen? How quickly can the debt just spiral out of control?
Oh, incredibly quickly. It's sad but true that a huge part of the credit card company's profit comes from people who, well, mismanage their cards, especially those who don't pay on time.
Because of those high interest rates.
Exactly. Those 30%, 40% rates, compounded annually, remember, twice or thrice what a normal loan might charge. So you miss a payment or only pay the minimum, and bam, so much interest gets added that your balance just balloons.
And it keeps growing.
It keeps growing faster and faster every single day. What started as maybe a manageable amount can, within just a few months, become this overwhelming debt that feels impossible to pay back. Plus, you've often got all these other fees lurking: late fees, over-limit fees, annual fees, even fees for using the card abroad. They all just add fuel to the fire, speeding up that debt spiral.
Okay, yeah, no, it makes total sense why some places really dislike credit cards.
Yeah.
Is there like a cultural thing going on there? Why are they less popular in some parts of the world?
Definitely. It's a really interesting contrast. You see, like you mentioned, credit cards are not that popular in many European countries. And it's not just random preference, it seems rooted in a different financial mindset.
Oh,
Well, in many of those cultures, there seems to be a stronger habit of paying everything on time. And crucially, this principle of, if I don't have the money for it right now, I don't buy it. There's maybe a greater cultural aversion to carrying debt for everyday things, less reliance on buying stuff on installments or credit.
right, more of a pay-as-you-go or save-up-first mentality.
Kind of, yeah. Now, compare that to places like India or the USA. Here, there's arguably a more common habit of, well, buying things even when you don't quite have the money, maybe using EMIs or just putting it on the card. This cultural difference definitely fuels the popularity of credit cards in these regions. And consequently, the big profits banks make from interest when people carry balances. It really reflects different societal views on debt and spending.
Okay, so for someone listening right now, maybe they're already in that situation, facing those awful 35–40% rates. What's the way out? How do they break that cycle?
Right. If you're already caught in that high interest trap, the most practical first step is usually to consolidate that debt. We strongly suggest looking into getting a personal loan.
A personal loan to pay off the credit card.
Exactly. Personal loan rates vary, of course, but they're typically much, much lower than credit card rates, maybe somewhere between 12% and 16% annually. Even at the higher end, that's still way better than 40%.
Okay.
So you take out that personal loan, you use it to pay off the entire credit card balance immediately. That stops the bleeding from that super high credit card interest right away.
That sounds like a huge relief, just stopping that high interest.
It is. And then the next step, and this is absolutely vital, stop using that credit card. Seriously. Put it away. Cut it up, maybe, if you can't trust yourself. The point is to learn from your mistake, get your spending under control, and focus on paying off that more manageable personal loan using your debit card or cash until you're back on solid ground.
But hang on, what if their credit score is already shot because of the credit card debt? Can they even get a personal loan then?
That's a very real problem for some people, yeah. If your score is too low to qualify on your own, you might still be able to get a personal loan if you have a guarantor.
A guarantor? Like someone to vouch for me?
Sort of. It's someone, usually a parent or maybe a partner, someone with good credit, who agrees to co-sign the loan. They basically promise the bank, if this person can't pay, I will. It's a big ask for the guarantor, obviously.
Huge responsibility for them.
It is, but it can be a lifeline. It gives the bank security, so they might approve the loan even with your poor score. And frankly, it gives you a very strong incentive not to mess up because you don't want to burden your guarantor. It's tough, but sometimes it's the necessary step to break free from that crippling credit card debt and start rebuilding.
Okay, so we've really laid out the dangers, the traps. But let's shift gears now. You've kept saying, if used wisely, these cards are actually beneficial. Let's get into that upside. What are the real advantages if you're disciplined?
Right. This is where the story changes completely, where the card goes from potential problem to powerful tool. Benefit number one, which we touched on, is immediate liquidity and much better cash flow management.
Right, buying now, paying later.
Exactly. That ability to make purchases instantly without waiting for payday or a transfer. That interest-free period, the 30 to 45 days, that's a real advantage. It lets you manage your expenses better, smooth out your cash flow. You can pay for something now, know the money's coming in later, and align the two. It provides a really useful buffer.
Okay, that makes sense. A strategic cushion. What about security? You hear conflicting things. Is it actually safer to use a credit card than my debit card?
Surprisingly, yes. In many cases, credit cards offer better security and fraud protection. Here's why. If someone steals your debit card details and uses them fraudulently, your money is gone from your bank account instantly.
Oh, man. Yeah, getting that back sounds like a nightmare.
It can be lengthy, stressful, no guarantees. But with a credit card, remember, the bank pays the merchant first. If there's fraud, it's technically the bank's money that's been spent initially. They investigate, and you're generally not held liable for those unauthorized charges.
So the bank takes the initial hit, not me. And they have skin in the game to sort it out. That's a big deal.
It's a huge difference. And specifically for listeners in India, there's a really important rule. If there's fraud on your credit card, the customer's liability is actually zero, provided you report it within 3 days.
Zero liability within 3 days.
Yeah. That regulation basically shifts the risk entirely onto the bank. It's
Yeah.
a massive layer of protection for you as a consumer. Huge peace of mind.
Okay, that's a really strong point for credit cards.
Right.
What's the third big advantage? Does it link back to that credit score we talked about, that financial report card?
It absolutely does. The third major benefit, and honestly maybe one of the most important long-term ones, is the ability to build a strong credit score for your future.
How does that work?
Simple. By consistently paying your credit card bill in full, 100%, not a paisa or a cent less, and always on time. Every time you do that, it gets reported to the credit bureaus.
Okay.
And banks and lenders see this as proof of responsible borrowing. You're showing them, month after month, I borrow money and I pay it back reliably. This makes you look like a good customer.
And being a good customer helps me how?
It means when you need a bigger loan later for a home, a car, maybe even a business venture, you're much more likely to get approved. And critically, you'll qualify for lower interest rates.
So using my credit card right today saves me actual money on my home loan years from now.
Exactly. A good credit score can literally save you thousands, even tens of thousands, maybe even lakhs over the life of a big loan, like a mortgage,
Yeah.
just through a slightly lower interest rate. That's real money back in your pocket, generated purely by being disciplined with your credit card now.
That's actually brilliant, a long-term investment in yourself. Okay, and then of course there are the rewards, the points, the cash back. That's what draws a lot of people in, right? Are they actually worth it?
The rewards are definitely a major attraction, yeah. And they can be incredibly valuable if you play it smart. Pretty much every time you use your card, you earn something, points, miles, cash back.
What can you do with those?
Oh, countless things, really. It depends on the card and the bank, but common rewards include street cashback, actual money credited back to your account. You can get big discounts on shopping, travel, free access to airport lounges, which is nice if you travel. Sometimes even free insurance, like travel insurance or accident cover.
Okay.
It's basically the banks incentivizing you to use their card instead of someone else's. And if you're strategic about it, you can definitely get significant value back on the money you're already spending anyway.
Okay, so we know what they are, we know the risks, we know the benefits. Now the really exciting part, how do we actually use them to save serious money, spend smarter? What's the mindset shift we need?
The fundamental principle. It sounds almost too simple, but it changes everything. A credit card helps people who don't need it. A credit card helps people who treat it exactly like a debit card.
Treat it like a debit card.
Oh.
Meaning,
Meaning you only spend money on the credit card that you already have sitting in your bank account, or money that you know for sure will be there before the payment due date. If you can stick to that rule religiously, then the credit card stops being a potential trap and becomes this incredibly powerful tool for optimization.
so if I have the discipline for that,
If you have that discipline, if you can use it mindfully, then yes, a credit card is absolutely for you. But, and this is a crucial but, if you find yourself thinking, ooh, I'll buy this now and, I'll pay it off over the next few months,
yeah,
then don't get a credit card.
right.
Or cut yours up, because that's the exact moment you stop making money for yourself through rewards and start making money for the bank through interest.
Right, so it's about seeing the credit limit not as extra spending power, but just as a way to delay paying for things I was going to buy anyway with money I actually possess. Leveraging the system without falling into the interest trap.
You've nailed it. Leverage the perks, pay zero interest, and the potential savings, the wealth creation opportunities here, they can honestly be pretty staggering. Let's run some numbers. This is where it gets really eye-opening.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with the numbers. Show me how this works.
Okay, let's take a pretty common scenario. Imagine your typical monthly spending is around, say, 50,000 Indian rupees. That's about 600 US dollars a month, right? So over a year, that's 6 lakh rupees, or roughly 7,200 US dollars. Pretty standard for many middle-class households.
Okay, 6 lakhs a year. Got it.
Now imagine instead of using your debit card or maybe UPI in India for all that spending, you switch to using a credit card. And let's be conservative, say it's a basic card that gives you just 2% cash back. Lots of cards offer this now, even some linked to UPI.
Okay, 2% on 6 lakhs. That's 12,000 rupees a year, right?
Okay.
Or about 144 US dollars. Nice, but is that the shocking part?
Oh, wait, that's just the start. The real magic isn't just the 12,000 rupees. It's what happens when you take that free money and invest it, harnessing the power of compounding.
Compounding. Okay.
Yeah. So you take that 12,000 rupees cash back each year and you consistently invest it, maybe in an SIP, a systematic investment plan, into a mutual fund. Let's assume it gives you, say, a pretty reasonable 12–13% annual return over the long term, or even blend it out to a more conservative 10% average.
Okay, investing the cash back.
If you do that consistently year after year for 20 years without lifting another finger besides just changing how you pay your bills, that initial $12,000 could grow to around 7.5 lakh rupees.
Wait, 7.5 lakhs?
Oh,
For free, just from switching payment methods and investing the 2% cash back.
exactly. Around 9,000 US dollars, basically created out of thin air from your regular spending.
That is actually quite substantial.
Remember, that's just with a basic 2% card. Now think about more optimized cards. Cards that, with a bit of strategy, can give you effective returns of 8%, 10%, 15%, sometimes even 20–25% cash back on specific spending categories or through reward points. If you could average, say, an achievable 8–10% return on that same 6 lakh annual spend, and you invest that consistently over 20 years, now you're not looking at 7.5 lakhs. You could be looking at something closer to 38 lakh rupees.
38 lakhs. That's nearly 46,000 US dollars. Just from optimizing card usage on everyday spending.
That's the potential power we're talking about. So the big insight here is if you're not using credit cards smartly, you are literally leaving potentially up to 40 lakh rupees on the table over your working life. Almost $50,000 in missed opportunity just evaporating.
Wow. Okay, that really shatters the myth that only super rich people benefit from this stuff.
Completely. We just showed how even modest, consistent spending, when channeled correctly and the rewards invested, can build significant wealth or fund amazing experiences over time. It's not about being rich, it's about being smart.
Are there other myths we need to bust? Like, what about that crippling fear many people have about missing a payment? That idea that one missed payment ruins your credit score forever. Is that really true?
That's another big one. And while, yes, consistently missing payments or missing them by a long time absolutely does damage your score badly, the idea that one single slip-up destroys everything permanently isn't quite right.
Oh.
Especially in places like India, the RBI actually mandates a 3-day grace period after your official payment due date.
3 days? Seriously?
Yes. If you make the full payment within those 3 days after the due date, while you might still get hit with a small late fee from the bank, it often won't negatively impact your CIBIL score itself.
That's huge. So there's a tiny safety net for genuine mistakes.
A tiny one, yes. But please, don't rely on it. The goal is always pay on time, before the due date. Set reminders, automate payments if you can, link it to your salary date. Discipline is key. The grace period is for emergencies, not routine. But it does counter that one mistake and you're doomed forever myth.
Good to know. Okay, you mentioned optimizing returns beyond simple cashback, getting 10, 15, 20%. It sounds like it involves understanding the point systems really well. You call it the science of redemption?
Exactly. Earning points is only half the battle. The real skill, the real value comes from knowing how to burn the points, how to transfer the points, how to find those sweet spots where they're worth much more than usual. It's a bit of a science, yeah, and you definitely get better with practice and, well, a bit of research.
So don't just collect points like stamps.
Definitely not. Our advice is usually make hay while the sun shines. Points can be devalued by banks or airlines with little warning. Use them. The goal isn't to have 1,000,000 points sitting there. The goal is to save your money or have amazing experiences you wouldn't otherwise afford. Use the points before they potentially lose value.
Okay, let's make this super concrete. Give me a practical example. How could someone listening, maybe spending a pretty normal amount, say around 30,000 rupees a month, that's like 360 US dollars, so about 4 lakhs a year, how could they actually get something really aspirational, like 2 or 3 free nights in a five-star hotel? That sounds impossible for that spend level.
It sounds impossible, but it's absolutely achievable with the right strategy. Okay, so 30K a month, 4 lakhs a year. A great card to aim for after you've built some initial credit history with a basic card, remember, could be the American Express Platinum Travel Card. In India, this often requires a salary around 6 lakhs, so it's accessible fairly early in a career.
Okay, Amex Platinum Travel.
Yeah.
Got it. How does spending 4 lakhs on this get me that luxury hotel stay?
Right, so you channel your regular 4 lakhs of annual spending through this card. Doing that typically earns you around 48,000 American Express membership rewards points.
Okay, 48,000 points. What next?
Now, you can transfer these Amex points to various hotel loyalty programs. Marriott Bonvoy is a popular one, and the transfer is often 1 Amex point equals 1 Marriott point. So your 48,000 points become 48,000 Marriott points.
And then comes the hack, right? The multiplier.
Exactly. This is where the smart play happens. Amex and Marriott frequently run promotions, especially around November, December, offering maybe a 30% bonus when you transfer points.
The 30% bonus.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So suddenly, your 48,000 or maybe 50,000 points could become 65,000 Marriott points with that bonus. Now, think about a really nice hotel like the Westin Rishikesh. A night there might cost 35,000 to 40,000 rupees if you paid cash.
Okay.
But if you check how many points it costs, it might be around 25,000 points per night. With your boosted 65,000 points, you can easily get almost 3 nights completely free.
Wow.
That's effectively getting a return of easily 25% on your original 4 lakh spending just by choosing the right card, timing your transfer, and redeeming wisely. That's turning everyday spending into a luxury vacation.
That is genuinely brilliant. But Amex, you hear it all the time, especially outside the U.S. Oh, Amex isn't accepted everywhere. Those higher fees merchants pay, right?
Yeah.
How do you get around that problem and still earn those valuable points?
That is a totally valid concern, and it's exactly why an Amex card should never be your only card. Rule number 1, always have a reliable Visa or MasterCard from your main bank as your backup. That should be your first card anyway to build history.
Right, the foundation card.
Exactly. So if a place doesn't take Amex, you just use your backup. Simple. No points lost on the purchase itself, but you still made the purchase.
Okay, backup card is essential. What else? Any clever tricks?
Oh yeah, this is where it gets fun. Many card issuers, including Amex, partner with online voucher platforms. Think GYFTR in India, for example. You can go to the Amex GYFUPR portal. Other banks like HDFC and Axis have similar portals too. And you can buy gift vouchers for tons of shops, restaurants, online stores.
Buy vouchers with my Amex.
Yes, and here's the kicker. Buying these vouchers often earns you accelerated points, maybe 2x, 3x, sometimes even more. So you buy, say, a Pantaloons voucher or an Amazon voucher with your Amex, earning bonus points. Then you go to the shop, they say, sorry, no Amex, and you just pay with the voucher you already bought.
Huh. That's genius. So I use my Amex indirectly and got extra points for it.
Exactly. You bypass the direct acceptance issue and often get rewarded even more for doing it.
Okay, that's super smart. What's the ultimate version of that? You mentioned Amazon vouchers. Is there like a master hack there?
Yeah.
Especially for things that don't normally earn points.
Ah, yes, the Amazon Pay Balance loophole. This is incredibly powerful, especially in places like India, where Amazon Pay is widely integrated. So, step 1, buy those Amazon Pay vouchers on GYFTR or similar portals using your Amex, grabbing those 3x or more points.
Okay, got the vouchers, got the points.
Step 2, add those vouchers directly to your Amazon Pay balance. Now, this balance isn't just for shopping on Amazon itself, although you can use it for groceries, electronics, dog food, whatever.
Right.
The real magic is you can use your Amazon Pay balance to pay for things that credit cards often exclude from rewards. Think utilities, your electricity bill, your phone bill, water bill. Think insurance payments, even education fees sometimes.
Wait, seriously, I can earn points on my electricity bill this way. That's normally a dead zone for rewards.
Precisely. You're essentially converting non-rewarding essential spending into points-earning spending via the voucher route. It's a massive win for maximizing returns on unavoidable costs.
Oh, okay. Mine's slightly blown. Utilities and insurance.
And it gets better. You can link your Amazon Pay balance to tons of third-party apps. Uber for cabs, Zomato or Swiggy for food delivery or groceries, Instamart, Zepto. So even if a restaurant doesn't take Amex directly, you can often pay using the pay via app option, drawing from your Amazon Pay balance. It basically extends the reach of your Amex points earning potential dramatically, working around those direct acceptance limitations. It's all about routing the money smartly.
This is like a whole different level of thinking about payments. Okay, you clearly navigate this world with multiple cards. Can you walk us through the different tiers, like starting from that very first card for a beginner all the way up to the super elite cards? How do you match the card to your spending and your goals?
Absolutely. It's a journey, right? It starts simple. Your very first credit card. It should always, always be a free card or one with a very low annual fee, ideally from the bank where you have your salary account,
Why that bank?
because they already know you.
Yeah.
Your main goal here isn't amazing rewards. It's simply to build trust with the banking system, establish that credit history, get that CIBIL score or credit score going. Starting with your own bank minimizes the chance of rejection and starts building that crucial longest credit history period, which really helps your score long term. Think basic, no frills cards.
So resist the flashy ads for high reward cards initially. Focus on building the foundation first.
100%. Build the foundation first. Then, once you've got maybe 6 months or a year of good history under your belt and you're becoming a growing spender, maybe earning a decent salary, spending, say, 12,000 to 20,000 rupees a month, that's roughly 140, 240 USD, then you look at something like the American Express Membership Rewards Card. Still not a first card, but great for accumulating points on everyday spending, up to about 2.5 lakhs a year, around 3,000 USD.
Okay, makes sense. Step up as your spending and history grow. What about for the higher earner? Someone may be earning well, spending closer to a lakh rupees a month, about 1,200 USD.
Right, now you're entering a space where the best card can change quite often. Banks are always tweaking things. For instance, a couple years back in India, the Axis Magnus card was legendary. People were getting insane returns, like 30–40% on a lakh per month spend using clever hacks. But it got devalued recently.
Ah, so the landscape shifts. What's a good option now for that kind of spend level?
Currently, for someone spending up to maybe 15 lakhs a year, around 18,000 USD, especially if they travel, the Axis Atlas card is a strong contender in India. It has a decent base earning rate, but if you swipe it for travel flights, hotels' reward rate jumps significantly, maybe up to 11%. Plus, it gives you bonus points when you hit certain spending milestones through the year. It's a good example of a card optimized for a specific category, like travel.
Got it. So strong returns, especially if your spending aligns with the card's speciality. Now let's go even higher. The high net worth individual, HNI territory. Maybe income is very high, spending 2 to 4 lakhs a month, 2,400, 4,800 USD. What are the top cards there?
Okay, for this HNI segment in India, there are usually two cards that battle it out for the top spot for general high-value rewards. First, there's the HDFC Infinia. It's very, very popular. Good base return, but its real power comes from HDFC's Smart Buy portal. Booking flights or buying vouchers there can get you 5x points, effectively a 16.5% return. Hotels can be 10x, a massive 33% return.
Whoa, 33% return on hotels. That's huge. What's the catch?
Two main catches. First, there's usually a monthly cap on how many extra points you can earn through Smart Buy, maybe 50,000 bonus points. Second, getting the card is tough. You typically need a very high net monthly salary, like 3 lakhs, or a huge relationship value with HDFC, like 40 lakhs, or already hold another high-limit HDFC card, high barrier to entry.
Okay, amazing returns, but capped and hard to get. What's its main competitor?
That would be the Axis Magnus Burgundy. Often considered one of the two best credit cards in India, alongside Infinia. It has a hefty annual fee, around 30,000 rupees plus tax. Base return is strong, about 4.8%. But here's its killer feature. For really high spenders, the accelerated earnings are uncapped. If you spend over 1.5 lakhs in a month, your earning rate on spending above that threshold almost triples to around 14%.
Uncapped. So the sky's the limit.
Pretty much, for the accelerated part. This means your average blended return across all your spending can easily top 10–11%. And for massive purchases, like buying a 20 lakh rupee car, using this card strategically could yield points worth maybe 17.5%, even 25% in some scenarios. That translates to potentially 5 lakhs worth of points back just for buying the car you were going to buy anyway.
5 lakhs back on a car. Okay, that's just incredible optimization. And then beyond even that, there's the ultra luxury segment, right? More about lifestyle, status, exclusive perks.
Exactly. Now, we're often talking about charge cards, not standard credit cards. The most famous is probably the American Express Platinum card. It's a charge card, meaning you have to pay the balance in full every month. No carrying balances, no EMIs. But it also usually has no preset spending limit. It operates on a sort of shadow limit based on your history, which could easily be 30 lakhs or more per month for the right person.
Wow. High fee too, I imagine.
Oh, yeah, around 70,000 rupees with tax annually, but the joining bonus points can often cover that first year. The base points earning isn't spectacular, maybe 1.2, 2.4%. The real value comes from the 10x accelerators on partners like certain airlines or retailers, and sometimes even 20x accelerators on luxury goods websites.
20x points. So that means,
That can mean getting 25% to 50% back in points value on those specific purchases.
mhm,
Points you can then use for business class flights, super luxury hotels. It's about accessing that high-end lifestyle.
getting half the value back on a luxury purchase in points, mind-boggling. And at the absolute peak, the ultimate card.
That has to be the American Express Centurion card, the legendary black card. It's strictly invite only. You need to be spending huge amounts, typically minimum 1 crore rupees, that's around 120,000 USD, annually on your existing Amex cards, often much more. The fees are astronomical, like an 8 lakh joining fee, then 3 lakhs annually.
Whoa. What do you even get for that?
A lot of it is status, extreme exclusivity, personal concierge services that can arrange almost anything. But even here, if you spend smartly on those 10x or 20x partners, someone spending a crore could potentially get back 50 lakhs worth of benefits. Think multiple first-class international flights, insane hotel suites. But it's definitely a different stratosphere.
Okay, so the core lesson really holds true at every level, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Don't let your credit card define your spending strategy. Your spending strategy should define your credit card. Don't chase a fancy card just because you qualify if your spending doesn't actually match its benefits or justify its fee.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's always about aligning the tool to your life, not changing your life for the tool. And when you do align it right, these cards, even the mid-tier ones, can unlock travel experiences that just feel completely out of reach otherwise.
Okay, give me an example. What's one of those truly jaw-dropping travel experiences you can fund with points? A really cool hack.
One fantastic one is leveraging stopover flights. Normally, if you fly from, say, Mumbai to Sydney via Singapore, you just have a few hours in Singapore airport.
Right, a layover.
But with the stopover, which some airlines allow when you book with points, you can actually stay in that connecting city, Singapore in this case, for more than 24 hours, maybe
Oh.
even 4 or 5 days for free. You essentially get to explore 2 destinations for the points cost of 1 flight. Singapore Airlines is great for this. Turkish Airlines, too, if you're flying via Istanbul.
2 holidays for the price of 1 flight.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Anything else like that?
Yeah, there's something called an excursion perk or excursion flight. It's like a small trip you do within a trip. For example, say you use United Airlines points to book a business class flight from Bombay to Vancouver. With their excursion perk, you might then be able to add on a free round-trip business class flight from Vancouver to, say, Toronto during your trip.
A free internal flight, also in business class, just because I use points for the main flight.
Exactly. It's a perk built into their award chart. Adds incredible value, letting you see more for the same number of points.
That's insane value multiplication. Okay, what about those dream hotel stays? We talked about the Westin Rishikesh, which is amazing. But what's like the absolute pinnacle, the kind of place most people only see in magazines funded by points?
Right, the truly aspirational stuff. Well, take the Raffles Udaipur. It's this incredible luxury hotel on its own island, costs maybe 40,000 rupees a night, achievable for free by transferring points from cards like Access Atlas to the Accor hotel program.
Okay, stunning Indian luxury. What about globally? The stuff that costs thousands of dollars a night.
How about the Ritz-Carlton Maldives? We're talking overwater bungalows, insane luxury. Costs anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 US dollars per night. So a 5-night stay, that's easily 10 lakh rupees, maybe 12,000, 15,000 USD.
Yeah, completely unaffordable for most people.
But you can often book it for around 500,000 Marriott Bonvoy points. And Marriott usually gives you the 5th night free when you book with points. Remember that strategy we discussed? 2 people, each with an MX Platt Travel and maybe an Amex MR card, spending normally around 6.5 lakhs a year each for 2 years. They could accumulate enough points for that exact stay. That's getting a 35% return on your spending, manifesting as a 10 lakh vacation.
A normal couple gets a 10 lakh Maldives trip for free just by optimizing their regular spending for 2 years. That genuinely changes the game for what's possible.
It really does. Or one more. The JW Marriott Masai Mara in Kenya, an ultra-luxury safari lodge, all-inclusive, costs 3,000 US dollars a night. That's like 2.5 lakh rupees per night. Achievable for maybe 550,000 points for 5 nights. A true lifetime experience. Seeing the great migration from a place of incredible luxury, funded by your groceries and utility bills from the past few years. That's the power we're talking about, turning the mundane into the extraordinary.
Wow.
Uh,
Okay, this has been just fantastic, a real journey. We started by just figuring out what these cards are, faced those scary debt trap stories head on, but then completely flipped it. We've seen the genuine benefits and now these incredible strategies for saving serious money and unlocking experiences that seem totally out of reach.
It really shows how these financial tools, if you approach them with knowledge and, importantly, discipline, can be incredibly powerful, not just for saving money, but for genuinely enhancing your life. It's where financial literacy really meets practical everyday application.
And the biggest takeaway for me, the thing that really hits home, is this. You honestly don't need to be ultra wealthy to live aspects of an ultra wealthy life. Even if you see yourself as just, a regular middle class person, if you learn how to effectively leverage credit card points, how to strategically hack the system in your favor, you can genuinely live the life of the ultra wealthy in certain ways, all while maintaining a modest lifestyle overall. That's huge.
It truly is. But, and it's really important we end on this note, that final caveat,
No?
money, and especially credit cards, they are always a slippery slope. The potential for value and amazing experiences is immense, yes, but you have to be sensible. You need that discipline. You cannot let the cards get the better of you because the hard truth is these credit card companies, they wouldn't exist like they do if there weren't millions of people making those mistakes, falling into the cracks, paying that high interest. The power is real, but so is the responsibility. It's entirely up to you to use them wisely.
That's the perfect grounded reality check to end on. And it leaves me, and hopefully all of you listening, with one final, maybe slightly provocative thought to chew on. Think about every time you pay for something right now using cash or your debit card, or maybe even UPI. Did you know that a small percentage of almost every transaction, regardless of how you pay, is already built into the price you pay? It covers the fees merchants have to pay for payment processing those interchange fees. So in a way, you're already paying into the credit card system even if you don't use one.
That's a really interesting point.
So the question becomes, if you're already paying that fee indirectly anyway, why aren't you using a credit card yourself to actually get that percentage back in the form of rewards, cashback, or points? How much free value, how many potential free flights or hotel nights are you leaving on the table every single day, every single year, just by choosing a payment method that gives you nothing back? Maybe it's time to rethink how you pay.